Afenifere asked National Assembly to begin Tinubu's impeachment over Lagos-Calabar highway contract violations. This is really massive. So the pan-Yoruba social political organization, Afenifere, has called on the National Assembly to commence impeachment proceeding against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over alleged conflict of interest in the award of the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway contract. So the Afenifere leader Oba Oladipo Olaitan expressed disappointment at Tinubu's recent public declaration that the contractor handling the project known as Gilbert Chagore was his partner during the inauguration of Kilometer Phase 1 Section 1 of the coastal highway project. All President Tinubu is doing is building a road to his own Atlantic city, Olaitan said in an interview. He equally said and opened that the contractor is his partner, said Tinubu. That means he awarded a federal contract to himself. Olaitan questioned the rationale behind commissioning just a small portion of the highway, suggesting that the government may have no further intention of pursuing the full stretch of the coastal road once the portion leading to Atlantic City is completed. Why commissioning just 4% of the road? That road leads straight to their private development. If that part is done, they may abandon the rest. This is a clear conflict of interest, he insisted. The Afenifere leader called on lawmakers to take action, saying the National Assembly must prove that it is not complicit. If they are truly independent, they must act now. We cannot condone this. This is not how to run a democracy. The president has admitted to a breach of public trust. I am calling on the National Assembly to start impeachment process now if they are a truly independent and vibrant National Assembly. And if they are not equally complicit, we can't condone such a thing, Olaitan added. According to this report, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway contract is being executed by High-Tech Construction Company, subsidiary of the Chagore Group, which also superheads the Eco-Atlantic City project, an ambitious real estate development built on reclaimed land from the Atlantic Ocean. President Tinubu, while inaugurating the project last Saturday, praised the Chagore-led High-Tech Construction Company for its work on the road, describing it as a symbol of courage and commitment. To the contractors and my partner in Darling, it was tough for us. We came together to tame the Atlantic, Tinubu said. The project, valued at 15 trillion naira, spans 700 kilometers across 9 coastal states, including Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River. According to this report, Tinubu awarded to his associate Chagore without any competitive bidding, and the contract was awarded on a single-source basis, contravening the Public Procurement Act and the Environmental Impact Assessment Act. I think this is a welcome development. If at all, the National Assembly could look into this man's statement and what he's trying to pinpoint. Anyway, this man spit fire on channel television. I want you guys to watch the details of what this man said concerning Tinubu's second year in office. Watch the rest of the video and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the bell button so you always get notified whenever we post our latest content. Christy TV got you covered.
We push for the people. We are about abundance for all. And there is no way President Tinubu and the government can talk about abundance for all when we have about 54% poverty. In their response, they did not touch on the issues. We brought out the figures of GDP, that he took $366 billion economy from President Buhari, and is now estimated to be 180. That poverty went from 38 to 54%. Those are the issues, not about who is the leader. The issue is that Nigeria, now they come out and say because of to save $10 billion. You want to save $10 billion and you destroyed an economy of over 180 billion? You see, sometimes maybe because the high rate of illiteracy in Nigeria, that's why some of these things fly through. You talk about, you remove a subsidy that helps 200 million people, and you are telling us that you have given 5 million people palliatives, and these palliatives are rice, whereas what you have done is remove the subsidies from petrol. But you see, we have gone ahead from that. Because when they did it, of course, it caused inflation. Now, the second problem was this. You are not addressing what type of inflation it was. It was a cost-push inflation, but you are treating a demand-pull inflation that there's too much money and you raise interest rates. Now, once you raise interest rates, you kill all businesses. They said they've done this, they've done that. They have destroyed 7 million businesses in 2 years. Let them mention 7,000 businesses they've created. So when you come up with this these tiny projects, this tokenism, I mean, that's what we call it. Tokenism, that's what we have. What is the GDP? What did you get when you came into power? What is it now? What is the poverty rate? And upon all, you say because of 10 billion subsidies, you have now taken nearly 100 trillion in just 24 months debt. You got 87 trillion debt, and that debt this year is going to become 188. So it's not about which Afenifere or this Afenifere, that is just beating the bush. What is happening to Nigeria? Are we going to go back to 59 billion that we were in,
before we get into the meat of the matter, there are those who have disputed the leadership of Oba Olaito, and they said whether or not Reuben Fashion is still alive, and that Oba Olaito cannot claim leadership of Afenifere. I mean, we've heard about several kind of Afenifere renewal group. There are Afenifere has had leadership issues in the past, and there are those who say, "Look, Oba Olaito, the leadership upon which you act, Mr. Faloye, is not authentic, is not known to the authentic structure of Afenifere, the original Afenifere," and that's why the presidency. And of course, you do know the relationship of the president, the sitting president, to Afenifere, and say, look, you are not known to Afenifere's structure. Let us clarify that the propriety of the leadership upon what about Lighton is
the leadership. The leadership was that when Pa Fashionati resigned, and he's like a grand uncle to me, when he resigned, he made Baba Adebanjo the acting leader, and he made Oba Olaitan as the deputy leader, and he resigned. Now, after Baba Adebanjo died, naturally, we went to the caucus and the general meeting, and they ratified Oba Oladipo Olaitan as the leader. You see, and like I keep on saying, the proof of Afenifere is in the pudding. You see, all this problem came, and it's so painful, that it was Baba Fashionati that started the handshake across Niger, and that it was right to support the Southeast. This was a project that he started. Then he retired, and after that retirement, President Tinubu went down there and convinced him to come back and reverse the very project that he started. And then you are now telling us that what is fake on... No, Nigerians know it. Yorubas know it. Who and what is the original Afenifere? The proof of Afenifere is in its activism, is in its core, is in its ideology. It's not about who has the Agbada or who has... No, it is about what the people... we follow Awolowo's principle of welfareism. This government is a neoliberal government. Total opposite ideology. So you cannot claim that one side that is backing him with his neo-political, his neoliberal economics is the right Awolowo group. Awolowo group is the one that believes in welfare.
Now, so how do you react to the presidency saying that you are, there's a language that was used that you are, is it notorious now, group of Afenifere?
He said we were rebellious or something like that. That was laughable.
Rebellious, rather.
Yes, he said we were rebellious.
Rebellious,
but,
yeah.
The president did not join Afenifere as an Owambe party. He joined it as a rebellious party, and it's that rebellion that got him as a governor that he went through in Nadeco. When you fight for people, when you want the best, people can say you are rebellious. But it's not about being rebellious. It's about being truthful. It's about pushing. We have enough to go around. And you see, and again, apart from that, we also talk about social democracy. We talk about having a fair country, restructure. Instead of him restructuring, he's destructuring. He's destructuring this federation. And that is the problem, because he goes to court through the Supreme Court to get local governments. Local governments are the administrative units of states. Federal government has no business with it. He's done that. He's taken over states. And yet you are denying that you are obviously going to a one-party administration. We had hunger strikes and teenagers were locked up. And you're telling me that that's not totalitarianism? I wonder what it is. And they come out as not propagandist. You took $10 billion, all subsidy money, destroyed the economy, and you now give a contract that never went through any due process, $11 billion, and gave it to a friend. Come on. We are not, a lot of people may feel quiet, may decide to be quiet.
Let's begin the conversation around your assessment of the Bola Tinubu administration and this government of the APC. First and foremost, in summary, you said that this government has failed Nigerians in the last 2 years. First and foremost, let me ask you, is that a fair account of, or the fair analysis or assessment of this government 2 years in office? When you say they have failed Nigerians in their performance, does it mean that there's no iota of any good that this government has done for Nigerians in the last 2 years?
Well, an iota could be tokenist. It could be tokens. For example, he comes out with 20,000 houses a year. We give birth to 20,000 people every day. That's 6 million people. We have 30 million or about 30 million homeless. If you build 20,000 houses, that's going to take a full 1,000 years. 1,000 years before every Nigerian can even dream of having a roof over their head. Is that performance? You tell me. Because when you look at other countries, let's take China, let's take India. You have two sectors of the economy. You have the consumption, you have production. At the consumption end, you see that any country that wants to develop builds houses. And especially Nigeria, that has the highest homelessness in the world. Houses is where your consumer market starts. Your television, your food, your everything. If we are short of that, and if your government is building is building a house for 20,000 people when you have 20 million homelessness, then you're not doing anything for the consumption. When you go to the production side, at the basis of industrialization, of true industrialization, and I'm not talking of imports and exports and all that, if you're going for real industrialization, we should know that from the amount of railways that you build. In China, they build 15 kilometers of railway every year. In India, it's about 14 kilometers. When America, even in 1800s, wanted to start its industrialization, it was building 5 kilometers every year. If you build 5 kilometers every year in Nigeria, it covers what you have built for the whole 100 years. We have only about 4,000 or 3,000 railways, of kilometer. So what exactly are we doing? He came out because we were totally against. You know that Chief Awolowo talked about free education. Now, you put students on loans and say, okay, maybe some technical colleges should be free. What we have said is that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics should be free if you are serious about uplifting this country. What about our health? A report came out yesterday saying that Nigeria is the worst place in the world for maternity. We have the highest maternity mortality rate. And somebody is coming out and telling me we are doing, what are you doing? The figures are there. Your viewers can just pick up their phone and Google what was the GDP of Nigeria in 2023. What is it now? What was it in 2014 when APC came to power? Check the poverty rate, check the employment rate, check your GDP. It's not, this is not rocket science. It's at the tip of your fingers. So, but you realize that they never address those figures. They now start throwing these cherry-picked figures of no meaning. And even not only of no meaning, you now have to ask that, oh, so you took out the production power of 200 million people and you're giving them rice. And that rice is only for 5 million people. They have, you see, the government should have just kept quiet.
Look at this way. You said, yeah, you said in your midterm assessment of the president that every human development and socio-political index has regressed.
Yes.
Is and that mathematically, factually correct?
Yes.
Statistically?
We stand by that. We stand by that. Our GDP has gone down.
What are the indices you're talking about? What are these indices you're talking about?
GDP.
What are these indices you're talking about?
Yes, GDP, one, poverty rate, health, homelessness, education. The amount of schools, out of school children has risen. Name it. All the important aspects of our national life has gone backward. Is it corruption we want to talk? He talks about a better do. Where is the conviction? What has happened to the court? They talk about EFCC arresting 4,011. I would very much like to know how many of them were politicians. So,
now, for me, is the question that those who will think that it may not be right, and the presidency disagree with you, that all the indices of development and growth had regressed. There are growth in aspects of the economy. The economy was badly hit by some of the decisions and policy of the government as soon as he got into office. But as time went by, especially in the later part of last year and early part of this year, there seems to be some positive traction in the economy, which shows that some aspect of it may have been improving, and that's why some people may not agree with you totally that every aspect of economy and human growth have regressed. It means that you do not see any good whatsoever in what this government has done.
If you fall and you reach rock bottom, of course you have to get up. You got to rock bottom. So, okay, they also said in April, inflation went down. But when you have had inflation of 30-40% for 18 months, and then you suddenly, um, I mean, it, it stabilizes. Of course, it's going to stabilize. You can't fall forever. But you see, I have to go back to the beginning because in the president's manifesto, I think it was page 36 or 34, he specifically stated that the subsidies will not be removed until the refinery works. He did it. So what now happened was a cascade of errors. After he committed that error, then there was the error of increasing interest rates, which only now allowed for speculation and not production. And, you know, it's like a drunken sailor trying to find his balance. But what we are saying is this. You see, because it does not pay Afenifere for Nigeria to be bad. Because at the end of the day, these politicians do not buy petrol. They do not buy, they use government money for petrol, for their food and co. So it's the commoners, is we. And as long as we are Afenifere and we have the interests of the people at heart, we want the government to succeed. But we keep on telling the government that, look, this and this is what you should do. Stop all this propaganda. You see, we say that if once you know your offense, once you know where you are, then it's halfway. But if you are fooling yourself that you are doing good, then you will not make the amends, the necessary amends. This year alone, 13 million people are going into poverty. 30 million people are at the brink of starvation. So, those indices and that they may try and manipulate, they don't really occur. Go to Lagos. I mean, we're in Lagos here, where you go everywhere. The whole streets are, everybody's indoors. You wonder, has everybody jackpot or they've just, they can't go. Everybody is, even the rich are struggling right now.
Let's take a breather. But when we come back, more on what the presidency said in defense of the administration's effort since President Bola Tinubu got into office 2 years ago. Get attention as response towards what they termed the rebellious Afenifere group has said in the performance of this government. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. The rebellious Afenifere group, that's how the presidency described them. When they came hard on the president and described his administration in the last 2 years as a failed performance, and the presidency has reacted, rebuffing whatever they've said. They said, look, these are not based in fact. In fact, the presidency, in their reaction, has said the presidency, through the policy, has saved, for example, saved the country billions of naira due to the removal of fuel subsidy. And tonight, the spokesperson of the group, Mr. Faloye, is speaking with us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Let's get back to the conversation about what Nigerians should be expecting, what Nigerians have received, the promises made by this government in the last 2 years. So the presidency's reaction says that a balanced assessment based on available data reveals a more objective and progressive picture with significant achievement amid the challenges expected from a country like Nigeria with decade-old problems. If you look at the statement from the presidency, it says you are oblivious of the fact that the government has saved Nigerians from age-long disaster policies and the audacious move by this government to make the very tough decision past governments couldn't have done. Will you vilify this government on behalf of your group in Afenifere, that it has taken some very tough decisions that other leaders found it difficult to do. And if you look at the major three economic decisions that this government made in the early days, would you say those, and they would say that those were part of the campaign promises made by other presidential candidates and other political parties? Will you vilify them for taking those called tough decisions?
First of all, it is not, these figures are not created by Afenifere. We have had IMF say that it might take 100 years before we get out of poverty. This is the same policies and the World Bank. So we've had World Bank, we've had IMF say practically the same thing. None of those figures are from Afenifere. They are from World Bank. They are from the government's National Bureau of Statistics. They are from Debt Management Office. We don't manufacture figures. Now, with regards to subsidies, I think it really has to do with ignorance. Because when you say the other governments didn't do it because they knew that it wasn't right. You see, they've turned subsidies into a dirty word. It's like, but 25% of the expenditure of Britain is spent on subsidies. They subsidize everything. America subsidizes everything. The International Energy Agency puts subsidy at 7% of the of the global economy on average. We have countries with 30%, 20% of Nigeria's own was less than 2% of our GDP. Now, what exactly is this social contract between Nigeria and the government? We pay taxes, we put all our collective to you. What do you do for us? You can't give us free education, you can't give us free food, you can't help us to produce. Because the most important part of that oil subsidy was its production element. Practically 80 or 90%, about 90% of production in Nigeria is based on petrol. Now, when you now skyrocket that, what you have is cost push inflation. And they are unforced errors. Because if you say that 10 billion, it's 10 billion they say they've saved in 1 year. But how many billions did you lose from the economy? Because that 10 billion has a multiplier effect on all other sectors of the economy of over 100 billion. So what kind of, and this money that was taken, we haven't seen it.
So let's look at the facts as presented by the federal government. Just for a moment, the federal government has said that if subsidy had gone on, Nigeria would have spent over the last 2 years about $10 billion. Now, it said that the removal of subsidy has saved the government over $10 billion in 2023, while the exchange rate unification boosted foreign reserves and helped Nigeria record an 18.86 trillion trade surplus. Those are the facts presented by the federal government as against your assessment or your own your own figures.
The simple question is, what is the cost of cutting that $10 billion subsidy? It's 100. You cannot say you are cutting 10 billion and cost us 100 billion. You have devalued the currency to increase money into the government, whereas you have killed businesses because we rely on imports, manufacturing imports. Now, when you say you let your currency float, no country floats a currency without giving a minimum. And the minimum that any currency should be allowed to float downwards is 5 to 15%. You actually watched this, our currency lose 100%. That's criminal negligence. If not brought in on economic reason.
So, I mean, if other presidential candidates said they were going to remove subsidy, how else do you think that this government could have gone about it? So,
Sir,
what exactly are you criticizing?
sir,
The
what we are
effort
saying
of
is,
removing subsidy, or
sir,
the manner in which the money that is being saved from the removal of subsidy is being used?
sir, there's one thing we have to get right. When we're talking of other presidential candidates, that's politics. We're talking of governance now. Peter Obi is not in government, Atiku is not in government. We're talking about this particular government. If it was Peter Obi who came into, or Atiku who came into, and it happened, we will complain. We are talking of you who is in power. I don't want to, and in your, let us note this. In President Tinubu's manifesto, he specifically said that he will not remove those subsidies until the refinery comes in. Now, when he got to Paris, he told us that the spirit got over him and he took it out and destroyed millions of businesses because of some spirit without any logical, no logical summation, no logic. And we say these things that when you say subsidies, there is a matter of subsidy. This is why we're a society. This is why we're a federation. Is give me, I give you. And we pay taxes. Congregate all that money and give us a cheaper education. Give us security. And it's not only that. It's not only the economy that we're talking about, because what President Tinubu has known from Nadeco, is that this economy, this constitution has to be restructured. And we're not even talking for management purposes. You cannot be managing the resources of our local government in Abuja. You cannot have a central police force. And like we wrote in there, for every person that is dying, the 10,000 that has died, it's at the foot of the president, because he should do the right thing. Restructure and give state police so we can protect ourselves. We have a right of self-preservation.
Quickly, Mr. Faloye,
Yes.
quickly, if I may jump in. If we go on and on, the economy is just a broad one. Because in response to some of the criticisms and the assessment of Afenifere under the Oba Olaiton leadership, the presidency response will say some of the monies that we have saved, we've been able to reach 5.7 million households in cash transfer. NEL fund school loans have been given, and allowances of NYC students, graduates, have been raised from 33,000 to 77,000. They will say that there are palliatives in the CNG buses, revitalization of over 1,000 primary health centers, training of 150,000 youths under the 3 million technical talent program. They ruled all of these out. But one thing that actually got out to me from your assessment is that you have said as a group that the government of Tinubu is corrupt. What is the evidence and what have you seen that could give us a graphical representation of what you are describing as a corruption of the Tinubu government?
Even they have accepted in there that we had the Betsy Edu situation. We've heard of, there was like over 1,000 infractions in our budget. You deliver the largest contract in Nigeria and even probably Africa without going through due process. We can list on and on. It's a catalog of you understand, from the budget to the ministers. But you see, there's one thing, because me personally, I don't hamper too much on the corruption, in the sense that I've been in Horizon and seen other countries, and I've seen that we keep on going. This was how we shouted corruption under Goodluck. What we are talking right now is that what is this government doing it? What are you doing for the people? Now, you listed all those, and I told my secretary to help me add up all those figures that they listed and compare it to how many people have actually gone into poverty. That Poverty has increased from about 80 million to 130 million. It's gone from 38.9% to 54%. So how? This, when you list 5 million people, which is about 0.4% or 0.25% of the country, whereas you have put even the minimum wage increase, which was about 38%, only got to 4.1% of workers. Only 4.1%. So what is happening to the majority? Is it going to be this kind of for a select few? People are starving. Nigeria has gone. We had 574 GDP in 2014. Buhari took off about 180 million from that in 8 years, and now we have had Tinubu take that exact 180 million off our GDP in just 2 years. You really have to wonder what is going to be by the time we get to 2027, if there's anything left.
Yeah. Mr. Faloye, one other area that you pointed out that got me, and perhaps is kind of a source of concern for any Nigerian, when you said that this country is drifting towards authoritarianism, meaning that the governance and the freedom of speech or expression of the citizen is in jeopardy or is at risk. What are the signs that you have seen? Because this is a major factor. If you say under a democracy that our nation is drifting towards authoritarianism, what do you mean by that? What are the examples that you have seen?
That the way they go against simple protests. A democracy accepts the right of citizens to protest whatever they feel is wrong. But when you start criminalizing protesters, especially underage protesters, when a musician or others, whoever talks against the government is railroad or beaten or locked up, then you have a problem. Look at the last, they were even beating media personnel during the last demonstration in Lagos. So when we look at that and different aspects of the society, and you wonder that everybody's scared to talk. We had a NYC girl who just said just a simple word, and they came out and hounded her. We had Idris hounded. The international committee had to come out before they released those teenagers. These are things that Nigeria, and it's painful that President Tinubu, who actually fought and built his career on democracy, is the one doing this. And it makes people wonder that these activists, they just talk. Once they get into power, they become dictators.
All right. Justice Faloye is a spokesperson of the Afenifere group described by the presidency as the rebellious faction of Afenifere. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.